Money with Jacob, every Tuesday and Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. This is where you come to me with your money questions, and I will answer them as if they were my own. And look, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. In fact, I have no type of financial license of any kind, but I got something that I think is better, which is a simple philosophy that I have used to build wealth to get me to where I am today. 28 years old, $740,000 in a stock portfolio, and 100% debt free. So if you got any questions, be sure to email them to me at jacobbuildswealth@gmail.com or drop them below in that comment section. I'll take questions anywhere I can get from them. So we got 3 questions up today. Question number 1 coming from Emma. And I just want to point out that Emma sent me an email last Friday at 4:38 a.m., which is coincidentally the same day Taylor Swift dropped her album. So Emma, I'm curious, are you a Swiftie? If you were up listening to her album, tell me below in the comment section what your favorite song is from the new album. You tell me yours, I will tell you mine. So let's get into Emma's question. Emma asks, hey Jacob, I'm sitting on about $300,000 in a high yield savings account, $140,000 in VOO, and a $20,000 emergency fund. Okay, Emma. With my current income, I can save and invest about $3,500 a month, but this job might not last forever. I have no debt, no kids, at least not for the next couple years, and I'd like to buy a house in cash within maybe the next 2 years, but I have no hard plans. Would you invest a big portion of that savings now, or keep it mostly in cash and just invest the $3,500 a month until my plans are clear? Emma, you are killing it, and you don't even mention how old you are, but considering the fact you haven't bought a home yet, you're thinking about kids in the next couple years, I'm gonna say you're about 30 years old. So for all the other 20, 30-year-olds out there, Gen Zers, Millennials, it's possible to build wealth. Emma's doing it. You are a beacon of light, Emma. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so happy to be answering this question right here with you. So I built out a chart, and bear with me as we look through it. In step number 1, we got your current state. Step number 2, we're gonna look at what I would do in this situation differently. I would change some things. And step number 3 is what this portfolio, after I would do my makeover to it, what it would look like in 6 years. And then I also kind of give an alternative, a gray area, because I think you're a lot more risk adverse than I am. And I'm not even really risky, but like we're going on like scales of 0 to 5. You're a 1 risk, 0 being the least risk. You're a 1, and I think I'm like a 4. So, or maybe a 3, just a little higher. So I do give us an alternative for kind of a middle ground here if I sound a little too risky also. So where you're at right now is you got this emergency fund of $20,000. You have a savings account of $300,000. You have $140,000 invested in Vanguard's VOO. And then that gives you a total net worth of $460,000, and then cash flow every month, able to invest $3,500 a month. Seriously, basically you can't even do anything wrong here. Just the amount that's invested in Vanguard's VOO, if that $140,000 were to compound over the next 30 years, that comes out to $2.4 million. So like, there is no wrong answer here. If you want to buy a house in cash, you can do it. You're going to have a paid for home and $2.4 million when you're 60 years old. But you're asking me what I would do, and I'll tell you what I would do. And that is, I would not buy a house in cash, and I would invest pretty much all of this money in the savings account. I would invest it all right now. And that is because whenever I think about buying a house, I also want to buy a house in maybe 2, 3, 4 years, but I don't have any hard plans either. And savings for me is whenever I have something that I have a defined time frame for, like I am going to buy a house in 1 year. I am going to buy a house in 2 years. I'm going to buy a car in the next 6 months. That to me is when I save. But whenever I just have an idea, I invest. And I think for you right now, a house is just kind of like an idea. It sounds like it's an idea. And it sounds like a good idea, but there's no real hard time frame on it. So what I would do is, let's just say that this house is going to cost $300,000. That's why you have this savings account of $300,000 right now. I would just keep safe the 20% down payment for the house. So let's call that $60,000. I would leave that in the savings account, and I would just know that, okay, it's fine. It's totally fine. I don't have to worry about putting the other $240,000 into the market and watching the market go up or down and being worried about it, because if I go to buy my house in the next 2 years, I'm still going to have the down payment to pay for it. And then there's also the emergency fund. So there's $20,000. So if we have the savings account for the 20% down payment and then an emergency fund, you have $80,000 in cash. I would be like, that's a lot of money in cash. And you do mention you have this in a high yield savings account, so you're still getting about 5% on the cash. That's pretty good. I mean, $80,000 in cash, I think that's great. I wouldn't want any more than that. That's max. That's totally max. And here's why I would now put in the other $240,000, going from that savings account, dropping it down to $60K, put that other $240,000, invest it into Vanguard's VOO, and just that $380,000 alone, left alone for 30 years, will compound out to $6.6 million if it just averages what the market does, 10% a year. That's not even adding in the extra $3,500 a month from cash flow, which would be $42,000 a year. Just the $380,000 a year for 30 years is $6.6 million. So it's like if we do what the portfolio is at today, yes, our investments compound out to $2.4 million, but I want to be rich. I want to be really rich. And I would much rather have my money working for me today and start getting into the market, start compounding today, get 2 more years of compounding. And I'm going to be at $6.6 million, not $2.4 million. And I do know, like, the idea is to buy a house, but homes only increase by about 3% a year. They keep up with the rate of inflation. So the average market return is about 10% and homes are at 3%. That's a difference of 7%. I like the stock market. It just compounds faster. It compounds more money. And this is where I'm thinking, like, I would rather be older and richer than younger and comfortable. And I think having to pay for a home makes me feel comfortable, but I can be a lot richer in the future than if I don't pay for the house in cash now. I would pay for a house in cash if I already had $1 million in a stock portfolio. That's part of the reason I don't even have a house yet, because I don't have $1 million in a stock portfolio. I'm not really even ready for home ownership. But I want that $1 million, because once you have $1 million, it's going to compound at 10% a year. That's $100,000 a year in passive income. That's a lot of money. And a home, the problem with all that equity locked up in a house is I can't eat my house. Like, you put $300,000 into brick and mortar and it just stays there until one day you sell it. A stock portfolio generating 10% a year, like, that's $100,000 hitting your bank account. It can be spent, it can be ate. So that's why I wouldn't buy a house flat out in cash unless I was already over $1 million, or unless, like, I was 60 years old and I just didn't want to pay rent and I wanted to secure a comfortable future for myself. But at 30 years old, anything under 60 years old, really, I just don't think I'm working towards to building a house. I would put that $240,000 to work in the market today. Now, you got this cash flow of $3,500 a month, and this is $42,000 a year. And I love your skepticism around when you say, like, this job might not last forever. I can promise him that job's not going to last forever. No job ever does. But the skepticism where it comes from, you sound so much like me in the way I talk to my wife. There have been times I've been the top performing salesman at my company, and I'm like, I'm going to lose my job. It's just like this emotional state of anxiety where things just don't feel like they can get any better. They're too good to be true. And it's never worked out where I've lost my job and then I get a different job that pays less. And that's because the job you're working today, you're getting skills that are making you more valuable. So the job that you're working today is not going to last forever, but the next job you take, you might have $5,000 of cash flow or $6,000 of cash flow. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. And I would just always pretend like I'm at least going to be able to bring in $3,500 a month and be able to invest it if I want to as expendable income, because you're not getting dumber, Emma. You're getting smarter, and the more valuable and smarter you become, the more money you make. So let's do this. I put the $20,000 in the emergency fund. We got the $60,000 in a savings account. And we're putting that $240,000 to work in VOO. And then we are going to be investing $3,500 a month, all of that expendable income, into VOO also. In 6 years from now, here's what we'll be. We'll have the emergency fund of $20,000. We'll have the house. We'll already have the house. We've got the 15-year fixed mortgage. That's what I would do if I were to buy this house. I would take out a 15-year fixed mortgage. I would put that 20% down payment in, the $60,000 in equity, and we're going to have $1 million invested in VOO. The $380,000 that we invest today, plus $3,500 every single month for the next 6 years, that will give us a $1 million stock portfolio invested. It will be $632,000 in contributions and $368,000 in gains. The house will have more than $60,000 in equity because we'll be trading what we're paying in rent today for rent, and we'll be shifting that over to paying our mortgage. So you already got the $60,000 of equity from the down payment, plus we're gonna have like 4, 5, or 6 years of mortgage payments into this house also. At this point in 6 years, I think we'll be at like $1 million portfolio and like $150,000, maybe $200,000 left over in the mortgage. This is where I would stop investing, and then I would just pay off my house, and after the house is paid off, I would return to investing afterwards. But once I get that $1 million portfolio, and my $1 million portfolio is just, ooh, that 10%, 10%, 10%, $100,000 coming out of there, that is rich. I mean, like, you can go do anything you want anytime. You can take a 3-year sabbatical. You got $100,000 coming in every single year from a portfolio. You can eat that. So that's what I would do. Maybe if I just, if I felt that's too risky and I wanted an alternative, this is an alternative. I would do the exact same thing with the emergency fund, $20,000, the savings account, $60,000, drop that $240,000 into my investments, into VOO, and that would still leave me with a total of $80,000 in savings, that 20% down payment, everything. So we got $380,000 in VOO. If we just leave that there forever, like seriously forever, for the next 30 years, that's going to compound out to $6.6 million. This is where it changes a little bit. We got the cash flow of $3,500 a month. If you want to like put down a bigger down payment, we don't have to invest all $3,500 a month into VOO. I say I could do $2,500 a month, which would be $30,000 a year, and then save an additional $1,000 and start putting that back into that down payment, into that savings account. In 2 years, that would put us at a $20,000 emergency fund, a savings account of $84,000 because we're carrying over $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. So that'll give us an $84,000 down payment. That's a total of $104,000 that you could be sitting on whenever you go to buy your house. That's a lot of money just to be sitting on in cash. Then the brokerage account or whatever your stock portfolio is invested in, you'd have $523,000. $440,000 contributed, and then gains of $83,000 just from the market compounding if we do that out at 10% a year, which is what the market does. So that is what I would do. And then after the house got the mortgage, 15-year fixed mortgage, just keep doing the same plan. Like if we want to pay off the house faster than 15 years, then invest $2,500 a month, $30,000 a year, and then save that extra $1,000, $12,000 a year. Just keep putting it towards the mortgage and cut that 15-year fixed mortgage down to 12, 10, 9 years or whatever. But until we get to $1 million portfolio, I don't want to pay the house off completely. This is where I do believe a mortgage is our friend in this scenario. We're going to make a lot more money. Compound interest, Father Time is going to reward us a lot more if we put all of that money, that $240,000 into our savings account, and then our cash, or from our savings account into our stock portfolio. And then our cash flow, we just keep adding in, putting coals to the fire, baby, letting Father Time sit there and make his magic happen, sit there and brew that brewery up, brew that cerveza up, baby. And we are going to have a big old portfolio just in the next 2, 5, 6 years, $1 million. So that's what I would do in this situation. Emma, please tell me below if you are a Swiftie. I really want to know. That's probably the most important thing out of this question. All right, going on to question number 2. This one is a long one coming from John, so bear with me. Hey Jacob, I saw in some of your $1 million journey videos that your wife is from Argentina, and I'm also married to a woman from South America. She's from Venezuela. I'm 34, she's 30. We've been married for 2 years and have a 1-year-old. We make about $70,000 a year, roughly $5,800 a month, and we could be saving and investing $1,500 a month, around 25% of our income. We're debt-free and just starting our wealth building journey with about $2,000 invested so far. Here's the problem. Her dad, who's 85, a giant prick, and honestly hasn't been part of her life for years, has recently been diagnosed with cancer and has been asking my wife to send him $1,000 a month to Venezuela. He's guilt-tripped my wife hard into helping, and now she refuses to even talk about not sending the money. With that $1,000 going out each month, we're down to $500 left over to save, and it's become a huge strain on our marriage. It feels like we're giving up our future to help someone that doesn't even care about us. Have you run into anything like this being married to someone from another country? And if you were me, what would you do? Wow. All right, John, right off the bat, just taking a look at this, I think about getting divorced, but I think that'll cost you more than just sending the money to her dad, so that's probably a no-go. I'm kidding, buddy. I don't want to be too insensitive. Seriously, a divorce would be more expensive, though, so that's not that's a no-go. I think that every challenge in a marriage can be seen as a breaking point or an extra link to strengthen your marriage. And I think that instead of looking at the negatives of this, instead of looking at sending her dad money, the guy's a prick, you hate him, you don't like him, he doesn't deserve your money, you're going to work, you're a hardworking dad now, you're a dad, and he's getting $1,000 of your money, you don't like it. But that's focusing on the negatives, and I want to focus on the positives. And the positives is it sounds like you married a wonderful woman who has a big heart. And she's being guilt-tripped by her dad, where she is pausing her own wealth-building journey to help out this guy that doesn't even deserve help, and think that you're married to that woman. And imagine what she would do for you if you were sick someday and you are a good man to her and she loves you. I mean, if she's willing to do this for a guy that's a prick, imagine what she's going to do for a guy that she loves and that loves her back. So that's the silver lining. The second thing is he's 85 years old with cancer. I don't think this is going to be a long-term challenge for you all. And if you're only investing $500 a month, just compound that out for 30 years. You're starting with $2,000. You got $500 a month. That's $6,000 a year. That's going to be $1.2 million by the time you're 64 years old. You're not going to be broke and starving either if you're only investing $500 for the rest of your life, but you're not going to be investing $500 only for the rest of your life. This guy's going to pass by, and then you're going to be up to your 25% savings rate, $1,500 a month. So those are the silver linings. So if you do think, though, that this is really hurting your wealth building journey, what I would do is I would go get a side hustle. If you genuinely think that you need more money, this is going to take a long time, you're not happy with running this compound interest out of $500 a month, how can you get an extra $200, $300, $400, maybe even $500 a month? I'd go get a side hustle. I'd go be a server somewhere, make an extra $200 or $300 on the weekend, or start driving Uber after work, go do Uber Eats, and you're going to make a few extra $100. I mean, you're going to be probably start putting in $1,000 a month if you do that. I know it's not fun. I know it's not what you want to do. And you're making a sacrifice. But the sacrifice, don't look at it as a sacrifice for her dad. Look at it as a sacrifice for her. And you're doing this for your wife. You're not doing this for the 85-year-old sad man that is begging for money. You're not doing it for him. You're doing it for your wife. And maybe, again, let's look at silver linings. Maybe if you go tell your wife you're going to take on a second job, and she's like, that doesn't make any sense, don't do it. Just explain to her, look, I don't want to be old someday, no money, and us asking our daughter for money. I don't want to be in that situation. This is awful. It's awful to see him that way. It's awful that we're in our position, and I'm not doing this out of hate, or I'm not doing this out of making, I'm not doing this because I'm mad. I'm doing this because I want to secure a good financial future for you and our daughter. And that's why I'm going to go do it. And maybe she'll say oh, he's right. I don't want him to be missing out. I miss my husband. I don't want him to be gone on the weekends. I want him here with us. I would rather us be here as a family together, building wealth, than just sending away money to this guy I never see that doesn't care about us. Maybe it will click in her head. Maybe it won't. But if it doesn't, don't be mad. You're doing this because you want to actually build more wealth for your family than just this $500 a month. So that's what I would do, man. I would either just give in, say, look, I'm still going to build wealth. I'm just not building as much wealth as I would like. You're in your prime earning years right now. it's okay. And just leave it at that. Like, no more hostility, no more strain. You love your wife. She's going to love you even more at the end of this because you were being the bigger man. You were helping out. You didn't complain. You gave her what she wanted. And it's not like she's asking for $1,000 a month for drugs. She's just got a good heart. And that's what I would do. So, going on to question number 3, coming from Ty. Ty says, you must have incredibly low intelligence if you don't think there's a housing crisis in America. Just because there are 2 million homes for sale in America doesn't mean there isn't a crisis. The median home is $420,000. That's not affordable. Gen Z and Millennials are living cheap and saving as much as they can, and they still can't afford a home. That's a crisis. Ty, you must be talking to my wife behind my back because she would totally agree with you. I have very low intelligence, man. The amount of stories I could tell you that begin with one time when I was in Mexico would confirm my level of intelligence. I mean, really, I don't even know where I'm at financially, but like nonetheless, how I'm alive. But luckily, my intelligence has nothing to do with the fact that there is no housing crisis in America. You're right, I don't believe in it. There are 2 million homes for sale right now, and the median home is $420,000. That's the fact, so I'm happy that we're both in agreement there. But let's take a look at some data. This is coming from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and this is data from 2023, so we're not even all the way up to date on current spending right now. From Gen Z, from people born in 1997 or later, in 2023, they were spending on average annually $52,891. Millennials, people born between 1981 to 1996, were spending $81,589. That's a lot of money, $81,589. And I'm not sure if this is per median household or if this is per individual. I'm going to assume this is per household because if each millennial out there was spending $81,000, that would just be crazy. But even if this is at the household, that's a lot of money. The average salary in the U.S. is $62,000, so the average millennial is spending more than the average salary. That to me doesn't sound like a housing crisis. This sounds like a priority crisis. American Express put out on June 16, 2025 that millennials and Gen Z account for now 35% of total U.S. consumer spending. Ty, it sounds like millennials and Gen Z are doing everything but living cheap and saving money. We have millennials spending more money than baby boomers. The good old rich people that everyone hates that's hoarding houses. Baby boomers are investing like they're rich and spending like they're broke, while millennials are spending like they're rich and investing like they're broke. And that is why we had this made up housing crisis. There's no housing crisis. If a millennial would just cut their spending back from $81,000 down to $50,000, they could be in a house in 2 to 3 years. That's how fast they would have a down payment. But they can't tell themselves no. They can't delay gratification. They can't say, no, I'm not going to go on a cruise. No, I'm not going to buy some new Lululemons. No, they buy it. And a Gen Z doesn't even need a $440,000 home. I'm Gen Z. I can't afford a $440,000 home, nor do I need one that big. Like, if we look at the median home of $440,000, that means 50% are more than $440,000 and 50% are less than $440,000. Why does a Gen Z person not, like a 25-year-old, why can they not buy a $200,000 house? If they're spending $52,000, they could easily cut back their spending by $5,000, $10,000 a year, and they could be in a house in a couple of years. So, no, Ty, there is no housing crisis. There's a priority crisis. And the thing is that Gen Z and millennials want everything. They just don't know how to prioritize what they want, so they buy the easy stuff first. Right now, and the hard stuff, they just complain about and call it a crisis. But here's the thing, dude. It doesn't matter if there's a crisis or not. It doesn't matter if most people actually can afford a home or not. It matters what you can afford. It matters what you want. It matters what you can do. You could pull up a data set showing me that only 1% of Americans could afford a home, and I would say, that's great. I'll be in that 1% then. I'll do whatever it takes to get a home because that's just what's required. I don't care. I will do whatever is required and I won't complain about it along the way because the time I spend complaining, I could be using to actually work. But that's just the mentality I have, and that's why I'm at where I am today. 28 years old, $740,000, and I'm completely debt-free. I'm to the point now where I could buy almost 2 houses. Like, I got you telling me about how hard it is to buy a house, and I could buy almost 2. That's just the way it is, though. I want it, and I prioritize it. And if you want something too, and you prioritize it, you also will have it. Now, most people are broke, man. Most people don't know how to prioritize. And that is why they are the losers of their stories, but you can be the champion of your story. And I'm going to give you the 6 steps to the American dream, the same 6 steps that I've been following since 2019 when I graduated university with $44,000 of debt. And I was like you, pissed off on YouTube, telling people that they're freaking morons because I was broke. But I'm not that guy today. I've worked hard. I've overcome the impossible that you would call it, and I'm doing very well, and I'm going to get you on the same path. And here it is, dude. The American dream in 6 steps. Step 1, create a budget. If you don't know exactly how much money you're making today and how much money you're spending today, that means your money controls you and you don't control your money, and you cannot get rich until you control your money. So create a budget. Write out how much money are you making, how much are you spending, write out any debt that you may have, and there you go. If you have any money in a savings account, any money in stocks, anything like that, put all of that money to your debt and pay it off and just save $1,000. $1,000 is going to cover your immediate emergencies. If your tire goes flat or your refrigerator goes out, your AC unit breaks, whatever, $1,000 is going to cover you. But you got to keep getting up and working, and that $1,000 isn't going to cover you forever. Just your immediate emergencies while you pay off all your debt. Step number 4, save up 4 months of an emergency fund. This is going to give you room to breathe, man. This is like now whenever you're going to be able to say, okay, I'm starting to build wealth. I got 4 months in an emergency fund. Something bad can happen. A tree can fall on my house. I can lose my leg. I can get sick or something, but I got 4 months to figure it out, and then I can get the next job. All right? 4 months in an emergency fund. After that is whenever you can start saving up 15% of your income. If you're making $100,000 a year, save $15,000. You're making $70,000 a year, save up, I don't know, $700, $800. Start investing that. I like to buy Vanguard's VOO S&P 500 fund. That's where I would put 15% of my income right now. And then step number 6 is to start saving for that house that you want, man. That is your dream. That is what you want. Start prioritizing. This is how you prioritize getting into a house and living the American dream. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be easy. You're going to completely erase what you thought the words cheap and save meant in your vocabulary. I will tell you what cheap means. When I came out of college, I was buying my clothes at Goodwill because I was cheap. I was living in a 500 square foot apartment that didn't have AC in the summer because it was cheap. I was driving around, I still drive around in a 2007 Volkswagen because it's cheap. And my Calvin Klein underwear that I bought on sale at TJ Maxx has holes in it because I'm cheap. But I prioritize building wealth over what I wear, what I drive, and where I live because that's what I want to do. I will go out there and make my dreams come true, and you can make your dreams come true if you want to, Ty. This is the American dream in 6 steps, and if you follow it, it is impossible to not be rich. So that is it. That was Money with Jacob. Be sure to send in your questions, jacobbuildswealth@gmail.com. And yeah, leave me those comments below too if that's how you want to get a hold of me. See you on Thursday.